Hey peeps, I'm Robert Costa, aka Groove Mechanic, Ableton Certified Trainer, and I just wanted to show you the best way to share your projects with collaboration partners. Now here I have a project from a client of mine, and we can see this is the project folder. It's got the little Ableton icon, Ableton folder icon there, and it ends with the word project. And then inside of that folder, we have more folders, Ableton project info, there's a backup folder, there's the .als or Ableton Live Sets. There's another file in here, which is a WAV that I've exported of the latest project. Then there's another folder for presets and another for samples. Now I'm going to open this project in Ableton Live 10 because that's what this client is using. On that note, any project that you create with Ableton Live 10 can be opened with Ableton Live 11, but any project created with Ableton Live 11 cannot be opened with Ableton Live 10. So it's always forwards compatible, but not backwards. Some people have asked me if their project will change if they update Live to Live 11 while they're still working on a project in Live 10. And the answer to that would be generally no. If there are any differences in the devices, then there'll usually be an icon on the device that says upgrade that will allow you to change from the old version of the device and update it to the new version of a device. For instance, like a compressor, let's say. So you can pretty safely assume that updating Live to Live 11 will not ruin any of your projects. Cool. So here I have the Ableton Live set opened. So here at the top is the name of the Ableton Live set, and then in these brackets here is the name of the project. So the project's called Greek Islands, and the Ableton Live set is called Greek Islands Fixation Studios Mix 0.1 Live 10. So what I want to do from here is I know that this project is basically in the state that I want to share it. Just a little word of warning there, if you are using any third-party plugins, that is instruments or effects that do not come with Ableton Live, then you're going to want to right-click those particular tracks and hit freeze. And what that will do is render out that track as a WAV file in the highest quality possible at the same sample rate as what you're currently working at, but also allow the other user to unfreeze that track and continue to edit parameters within that track if they have those third-party plugins. So rather than freezing and flattening, I suggest you just freeze the track. That way, your collaborator can still see the device chain for that track, and if they have the plugins that were used on that track, then they can safely unfreeze that track and continue to work and make adjustments. Let's keep moving on. Next, I'm going to go to the File Manager, then Manage Project. It's going to look at the project, and it's going to give me a bunch of information. So this project contains 3.7 gigabytes of data. That is a lot, and I'll show you the reason why that's the case. There's 177 media files, which we can have a look at in here. So lots of freezes of the same thing. There's also external files that aren't inside the project folder. And then there's another unused file, which is the WAV that I've exported of the project. So what I'm going to do is save this project into a new location. And the reason for that is if I click show on these 8 live sets, we can see all these live sets here. And they're actually backups. And I'll show you that in Finder here. So if I go to backup, we can see that there's all these other live sets here. And these live sets are looking for files that were in place when those live sets were saved. So because they're backups that were created on his computer, it says that there's files missing because files aren't in the same location on my computer. So the easiest way to make sure that I'm sending them a clean project that isn't looking for any files in random places is to save the live set as to a new location. So let's do that. I'm going to close the file manager, go File, Save Live Set As, and I'm going to go into Saving Projects, and I'm going to rename this a little bit different. So shout out to Blake, aka Little Beam, for his killer track that he made recently. All right, so I'm saving the Ableton Live set in a folder that is not inside a project. If I save this Ableton Live set inside a project folder, it will just add the Ableton Live set to that project. But I want to create a new project with this Ableton Live set within it. Therefore, I have to save this Ableton Live set in a folder that isn't an Ableton project. So it doesn't have the icon and doesn't end with the word project. So when I do this, saving it in another folder on my computer and hit save, then we'll see that this has changed up here. See, we have the name that we've given it, and then the name of the project folder is now the same as the name of the Ableton Live set. All right, so now we're in a state that we can save this project. It's a nice, clean, new project, but we need to collect all the files into that project folder. So to do that, we go to View, File Manager, Manage Project, and then it says there's only one live set in there, which is good. It says there are no missing files. It says this project uses external files. Live can collect them for you and copy them into the project folder. So after reopening it, it still says there's 174 files from other projects, and I don't think that that's right. There are quite a few tracks that the client has frozen, but if we go into Session View, which we're no longer working in Session View because everything has been arranged, then we can see that there are a ton of clips. They're just MIDI clips, so we don't need to worry about those. In fact, let's just get rid of all of it. So all of this stuff here, we do not need. So I'm just going to hit delete. So already this is starting to make more sense. Now it says 37 files from other projects, which equates to 2.9 gigabytes. So we've just saved ourselves a gig. And then once we create the Ableton Live Pack, which is what we're about to do, that will be even smaller. So I'm much happier with this, as there are a few tracks in this project. So 37 files sounds about right with the amount of tracks that have been frozen and flattened in this particular project. So I'm going to go collect into project, and then there's 3 files from the user library. So just some Max for Live devices that I've used on the client's mix that are not already in the project. And I'm going to hit collect all and save. Awesome. So now if we go back into manage project, and it'll read the project again, and it still says 174 files from other projects. And we'd be like, okay, this doesn't sound right. So let's close Live 10 again. There's a bit of back and forth, but I'm telling you, this is worthwhile. So what we want to do is delete this backup, because this is a backup that is looking for all those old files again. So I'll go move to bin, and now I'm going to open this latest live set again. And now when we go to the file manager, it won't be looking for all those old files again. So I'll go manage project, and it says there are no missing files. All the external files are contained within this project. There are no unused files in this project. So we can safely create an Ableton Live Pack at this point. If we want, we can double check what's going on, so we can show the live set. Yep, there's the one live set in there. And then we can also see all the different files that are within this Ableton Live project. And that all seems correct. So from this point, I can go create pack. And now I'm going to just add a little bit more on the end of this. So, and hit enter. So now it's going to collect all those files that are within the project and use them to create an Ableton Live Pack, which is basically like a zip file, but it can only be opened with Ableton Live. And the point of this is that this file is more secure, as it can only be opened with Live, and it is smaller than just sending a zip of the complete project folder. In addition to that, going through this process, we've eliminated any unused files or files that are unnecessary to this particular live set. Once this is finished, we'll have an Ableton Live Pack that we can send to our collaboration partner, and they can open it up with Ableton Live. It will ask them to install it into a location, and then they can open the Ableton Live set from within that project folder. So it says the pack was created successfully. I'm going to hit OK. Now when I go back to Finder, we can see that here's our Ableton Live Pack, and it is 1.82 gig, which is much smaller than what the client initially sent me. So now I can upload that file to somewhere like Google Drive or WeTransfer or Dropbox, whatever you choose, and then send a link to the client or your collaboration partner, and they'll have a nice and tidy project to work from. I'll leave a link to the Ableton Live reference manual in the description, which talks a little bit more about how to create Ableton Live packs like we just did. If you've got any questions, feel free to pop them in the comments. But that's it for now. Thanks for watching.